thank you for this honor, and congratulations to the class of 2014. Now, let me begin by saying all of you had the inside track in getting me here, because my personal assistant, Fariel, is a proud anteater. Until today, I did not understand why she greets me every morning by shouting, "Zoot, zoot, zoot." It's been a little weird. But she explained it to me on the way here this morning, because she is very proud to see her brother, Sina, graduate today as well. So graduates, obviously we're proud of you, but let's give it up for your proud family and friends and professors, because this is their day too. And even though he's on the road this weekend, I also want to thank Angels center fielder Mike Trout for letting me cover his turf for a while. He actually signed a bat for me, which is part of my retirement plan. I will be keeping that. And this is a pretty cool place to hold the commencement. I know that UC Irvine's baseball team opens College World Series play in Omaha right about now. Well, let's get this speech underway. If the hot dog guy comes by, get me one. Now, in addition to Fariel graduates, I'm here for a simple reason: you asked. For those who don't know, the UC Irvine community sent 10,000 postcards to the White House asking me to come speak today. Some tried to guilt me into coming. I got one that said, "I went to your first inauguration, can you please come to my graduation?" Some tried bribery. I'll support the Chicago Bulls. Another said today would be your birthday, so happy birthday, whoever you are. My personal favorite, somebody wrote and said, "We are super underrated." I'm sure she was talking about this school. But keep in mind, you're not only the #1 university in America younger than 50 years old, you also hold the Guinness World Record for biggest water pistol fight. You're pretty excited about that. We are super underrated. This young lady could have just as well been talking, though, about this generation. I think this generation of young people is super underrated. Now, in your young lives, you've seen dizzying change. From terror attacks to economic turmoil, from Twitter to Tumblr. Some of your families have known tough times during the course of the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. You're graduating into a still healing job market. And some of you are carrying student loan debt that you're concerned about. And yet your generation, the most educated, the most diverse, the most tolerant, the most politically independent, and the most digitally fluent in our history, is also on record as being the most optimistic about our future. And I'm here to tell you that you are right to be optimistic. You are right to be optimistic. Consider this. Since the time most of you graduated from high school, fewer Americans are at war, more have health insurance, more are graduating from college, our businesses have added more than 9 million new jobs, the number of states where you're free to marry who you love has more than doubled. That's just some of the progress that you've seen while you've been studying here at UC Irvine. But we do face real challenges. rebuilding the middle class and reversing inequalities rise, reining in college costs, protecting voting rights, welcoming the immigrants and young dreamers who keep this country vibrant, stemming the tide of violence that guns inflict on our schools. We've got some big challenges, and if you're fed a steady diet of cynicism that says nobody's trustworthy and nothing works and there's no way we can actually address these problems, then the temptation is to just go it alone, to look after yourself and not participate in the larger project of achieving our best vision of America. And I'm here to tell you, don't believe the cynicism. Guard against it, don't buy into it. Today I want to use one case study to show you that progress is possible and perseverance is critical. I want to show you how badly we need you, both your individual voices and your collective effort, to give you the chance you seek to change the world and maybe even save it. I'm going to talk about one of the most significant long-term challenges that our country and our planet faces: the growing threat of a rapidly changing climate. Now, this isn't a policy speech, I understand it's commencement, and I already delivered a long climate address last summer. I remember because it was 95 degrees, my staff had me do it outside, and I was pouring with sweat as a visual aid. And since this is a very educated group, you already know the science. Burning fossil fuels releases carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide traps heat. Levels of carbon dioxide in our atmosphere are higher than they've been in 800,000 years. We know the trends. The 18 warmest years on record have all happened since you graduates were born. We know what we see with our own eyes. Out west, firefighters brave longer, harsher wildfire seasons. States have to budget for that. Mountain towns worry about what smaller snowpacks mean for tourism. Farmers and families at the bottom worry about what it will mean for their water. In cities like Norfolk and Miami, streets now flood frequently at high tide. Shrinking ice caps have National Geographic making the biggest change in its atlas since the Soviet Union broke apart. So the question is not whether we need to act. The overwhelming judgment of science, accumulated and measured and reviewed over decades, has put that question to rest. The question is whether we have the will to act before it's too late. For if we fail to protect the world we leave, not just to my children, but to your children and your children's children, we will fail one of our primary reasons for being on this world in the first place. And that is to leave the world a little bit better for the next generation. Now the good news is you already know all this. UC Irvine set up the first Earth System Science Department in America. A UC Irvine professor student team won the Nobel Prize for discovering that CFCs destroy the ozone layer. A UC Irvine glaciologist's work led to one of last month's reports showing one of the world's major ice sheets in irreversible retreat. Students and professors are in the field working to predict changing weather patterns, fire seasons, and water tables, working to understand how shifting seasons affect global ecosystems, to get zero-emission vehicles on the road faster, to help coastal communities adapt to rising seas. And when I challenge colleges to reduce their energy use 20% by 2020, UC Irvine went ahead and did it last year. Done. So UC Irvine's ahead of the curve. All of you are ahead of the curve. Your generation reminds me of something President Wilson once said. He said, "Sometimes people call me an idealist. Well, That is the way I know I am an American. That's who we are. If you need a reason to be optimistic about our future, then look around this stadium, because today in America, the largest single age group is 22 years old. And you are going to do great things. And I want you to know that I've got your back. Because one of the reasons I ran for this office was because I believed our dangerous addiction to foreign oil left our economy at risk and our planet in peril. So when I took office, we set out to use more clean energy and less dirty energy and waste less energy overall. And since then, we've doubled the distance our cars will go on a gallon of gas by the middle of the next decade. We've tripled the electricity we harness from the wind, generating enough last year to power every home in California. We've multiplied the electricity we generate from the sun 10 times over. And this state, California, is so far ahead of the rest of the country in solar that earlier this year, solar power met 18% of your total power demand one day. The bottom line is America produces more renewable energy than ever, more natural gas than anyone. And for the first time in nearly 2 decades, we produce more oil here at home than we buy from other countries. And these advances have created jobs and grown our economy and helped cut our carbon pollution to levels not seen in about 20 years. Since 2006, no country on earth has reduced its total carbon pollution by as much as the United States of America. So that's all reason for optimism. Here's the challenge. We've got to do more. What we're doing is not enough. That's why a couple of weeks ago, America proposed new standards to limit the amount of harmful carbon pollution that power plants can dump into the air. We also have to realize, as hundreds of scientists declared last month, that climate change is no longer a distant threat, but has moved firmly into the present. That's a quote. In some parts of the country, weather-related disasters like droughts and fires and storms and floods are going to get harsher, and they're going to get costly. And that's why today I'm announcing a new $1 billion competitive fund to help communities prepare for the impacts of climate change and build more resilient infrastructure across the country. So it's a big problem. But progress, no matter how big the problem, is possible. That's important to remember, because no matter what you do in life, you're going to run up against big problems in your own personal life and in your communities and in your country. There's going to be a stubborn status quo, and there are going to be people determined to stymie your efforts to bring about change. There are going to be people who say you can't do something. There are going to be people who say you shouldn't bother. I've got some experience in this myself. Now, part of what's unique about climate change, though, is the nature of some of the opposition to action. It's pretty rare that you'll encounter somebody who says the problem you're trying to solve simply doesn't exist. When President Kennedy set us on a course for the moon, there were a number of people who made a serious case that